She waited alone at the restaurant, thinking her blind date had vanished forever, until two little twin girls appeared and said, "My daddy's sorry he's late." What happens next will change everything she thought she knew about love, loss, and secrets hidden in plain sight. The restaurant glowed with soft golden light. Plates clinked, laughter drifted through the air, and the smell of roasted garlic floated from the kitchen. She sat at the corner table, hands clasped around a glass of water, heart tapping against her ribs. It had been 30 minutes. Her blind date was not there. The waiter gave a polite smile as he passed, the kind reserved for those who had been waiting too long. She straightened her dress, forced a smile, and told herself it was fine. Maybe he was caught in traffic. Maybe this was the kind of story that started awkward and ended in laughter. Then, the bell above the door chimed. Two little twin girls stepped in, identical down to their red ribbons and shiny black shoes. They walked with small, certain steps, eyes searching the room. The older one, by perhaps a minute, held a small envelope in her hand. They stopped right in front of her table. Both stared up at her with matching blue eyes. "My daddy's sorry he's late," the younger one said softly. The restaurant seemed still. Her breath caught. She looked around, expecting anyone, to follow them in. No man appeared. Just the waiter, frozen by the kitchen door. The older twin placed the envelope on the table. Inside was a photograph, faded, creased at the edges. Her, smiling, years younger, with a man whose face she had tried to forget. And between them, those same twin girls, standing by a lake. The air thickened, as if the entire room was holding its breath. The younger twin tilted her head. "Daddy said you would remember us now." Her pulse thundered. The waiter dropped a tray somewhere behind her, shattering glass echoing across the tiled floor. But she barely heard it. The twin smiled, soft, knowing, almost rehearsed. And then, from somewhere outside, came the slow rumble of a car engine. It idled, waiting. Every eye in the restaurant turned toward the door. But the twins only looked at her, unblinking, as the sound of footsteps began to approach. The footsteps grew louder, measured, heavy, calm. Each step seemed to echo through her chest, syncing with her heartbeat. The twins turned toward the sound. Their hands met in the middle, fingers lacing together, identical ribbons swaying. The restaurant door creaked open again. Cold air slipped in, carrying the faint scent of rain and old leather. A man's silhouette filled the doorway. Tall, still, unmoving. For a moment, he stayed there, just a shadow, framed by the light outside. Her throat tightened. The air pressed down thick as fog. The twins' faces lifted, tiny smiles curling as if they had been waiting for this exact second. "Daddy," they said together, voices perfectly in sync. Every conversation in the restaurant fell silent. Every fork froze in midair. The man stepped forward. His face came into view under the soft gold light. Older, sharper, eyes ringed with tiredness. But she knew him. Even after all these years, she knew him. It was the man from the photograph. The man who was supposed to be gone. Her fingers trembled. She clutched the edge of the table to keep herself from standing. He stopped a few feet away, looking straight at her. Then at the twins. "Thank you, girls," he said quietly. They nodded, turned, and walked toward an empty booth near the window. Their small figures climbed into the seat, hands folded neatly, like they had practiced it. He looked back at her, expression unreadable. "May I sit?" Her voice caught her throat. After a moment, she managed to nod. He pulled out the chair opposite hers, the scrape of wood against tile, sounding too loud, too sharp. Neither spoke. The waiter, unsure what to do, retreated toward the kitchen again. She stared at him, at the same eyes that once promised forever, now older and lined with something unspoken. "You should not be here," she whispered. He smiled faintly. "I said the same thing to myself before walking in." Her breath shook. "I thought you gone," he finished for her. His gaze drifted toward the twins by the window. "They asked about you." Her mind spun. "They asked. You left. You never came back. You." Her voice broke. He did not interrupt. He only looked at her, that same quiet stillness in his eyes, as if he already knew every word she wanted to throw at him. The twins began whispering to each other, soft giggles rising and falling. It almost sounded normal, but something in the sound made her skin prickle. She forced her eyes back to him. "What do you want?" He leaned forward, elbows on the table, voice low. "To make things right." A bitter laugh escaped her. After all this time, he nodded once. The calmness in his tone frightened her more than anger would have. "I owe you an explanation." She shook her head, blinking fast. Her heart raced. An explanation for vanishing? For leaving me to explain everything alone? His eyes flickered, guilt or maybe sorrow. "The night before I left," he said, "there was an accident. A fire. You remember the old cabin?" Her pulse jumped. The cabin. The one by the lake where they took that photograph. She nodded slowly. "The twins were there," he continued. Something in his voice cracked, barely, but she heard it. "I tried to save them. I went back inside, but the roof—" He stopped. Her hands went cold. The restaurant noise faded until only the hum of the lights filled her ears. Her eyes darted toward the booth. The twins were still there, smiling, watching. Their lips moved again, whispering something only they could hear. Her body went still. "You said," her voice trembled. "You said they were there in the fire?" He nodded once. Her eyes widened. "Then who?" He looked at her the way someone looks at something fragile. "I do not know," he said softly. "They started appearing after that night." Her breath hitched. "They came to me first," he went on, "in the mornings, at the lake. Always together, always smiling." Her stomach twisted. She turned back toward the twins again. They were still watching, identical faces unmoving. Her pulse roared in her ears. "You brought them here?" she whispered. "They said you were waiting," he answered. His hands trembled slightly as he spoke, though he kept his face calm. "I thought, maybe they wanted to see you one last time." The lights above flickered. A faint chill swept through the room. The waiter at the counter frowned and tapped the switch, muttering under his breath. The bulb steadied, but the air did not feel the same. The twins slid out of their booth. They moved in unison, small shoes clicking softly on the floor. Her chest tightened. They stopped beside her chair again. The younger one held out her hand, palm open, something small and metallic resting inside. A locket, the same one she had lost years ago by the lake. Her voice barely escaped. "Where did you get this?" The older twin smiled. "Daddy said you dropped it when you left us." Tears welled in her eyes before she even realized it. She reached for the locket, but the metal felt too cold, too new. Her fingers froze. The twins looked at each other. The younger one's voice lowered, almost a whisper. "Daddy said it is time now." "Time?" Her heart stuttered. "Time for what?" she whispered. The man across from her stood slowly. His chair tipped back, landing softly against the wall. He looked at her with something between sorrow and peace. "They are not supposed to stay," he said quietly. The twins smiled wider. The lights flickered again, harder this time. Every bulb in the restaurant blinked in rhythm with her pulse. The waiter shouted something near the kitchen, then silence. The twins turned toward their father. And for the first time, she saw something shimmer in the air between them, like heat over asphalt. Faint, trembling. He exhaled, eyes never leaving hers. "Thank you for waiting," he said. Then, the shimmer grew stronger, light bending and curling around them. The twins took his hands. Their forms blurred, edges fading like watercolor in the rain. Her chair scraped back as she stood, reaching out. "No," but when she blinked, they were gone. Only the faint echo of laughter lingered, soft and fading, like it came from far away. The locket was still in her palm, warm now. Her reflection shimmered in its surface. The waiter's voice finally broke the silence. "Ma'am, are you all right?" She turned slowly. The restaurant looked the same. People murmured, plates clinked, life resumed, as if nothing had happened. But the chair across from her was empty. No man, no twins, only a folded napkin where he had been sitting. She unfolded it with shaking hands. Inside, written in his familiar handwriting, were 3 words. "Thank you always." Her throat closed. Tears blurred her vision. Outside the window, rain began to fall, gentle, steady, endless. And for a moment, in the reflection on the glass, she thought she saw them again. The twins, standing hand in hand, smiling, as a man's shadow faded beside them into the dark. She pressed the locket to her chest, heart aching yet strangely calm. Because somewhere, somehow, she knew, the blind date had never been empty. It was just waiting for goodbye. She remained frozen at the table, the locket warm against her palm. The restaurant around her moved in slow motion. People laughed, servers hustled, and clinking cutlery continued, yet it felt distant, like she was underwater. Her fingers traced the delicate engraving on the locket. Inside, the photograph of the twins and their father stared back, eyes piercing her soul. A single tear slid down her cheek. She felt a tremor run through her legs and had to grip the table edge. Outside, the rain tapped a steady rhythm against the windows. It sounded almost like whispers, the way the droplets collided with glass. The warmth of the locket spread slowly through her chest. A shiver crawled up her spine as she realized the twins' laughter still echoed faintly in her mind. Soft, playful, haunting. She shook her head, trying to dispel the illusion. The air felt charged, almost electric. The hum of the restaurant lights seemed louder, sharper, every flicker making her heart skip a beat. The photograph inside the locket shifted slightly under her touch, as if something small had moved. Her pulse thundered. She blinked, and the restaurant felt colder. Shadows stretched across the floor unnaturally. A chair scraped behind her. Her breath caught. She turned, expecting someone to stand there. No one, just a cold draft that whispered across her neck. The twins' tiny voices echoed faintly in her memory. Time now. She swallowed hard, her hands trembling. What did that mean? She looked around. Every diner's head was turned away, none noticing her sudden unease. The locket pulsed softly in her hand, faintly glowing in the dim light. Her mind raced. Was it a trick of the reflection? A memory seeping into reality? She turned the locket over. The photograph inside had changed. The twins were no longer children in the picture. They were grown, and standing beside them was the man, older now, but smiling warmly. Her chest tightened. The restaurant seemed to stretch unnaturally, the walls farther away, the ceiling higher. A soft giggle floated behind her ear. She spun. Nothing. Her heartbeat filled her ears. She took a cautious step backward. The locket felt impossibly heavy now, almost pulling her downward. The restaurant's lights flickered violently. A shadow moved across the wall, a figure tall, indistinct, but unmistakably human. She froze. The shadow stopped. It leaned forward slightly, as if observing her. Her breath caught in her throat. The locket pulsed again, warmer now, almost burning against her chest. She clutched it tightly. "Who is there?" she whispered, voice barely audible. The shadow tilted its head, silent. Then, the faint sound of small footsteps echoed around her. Soft, precise, synchronized. Two, she knew without seeing. Her stomach churned. The twins. But something was different. Older. Strange. Ethereal. Their voices barely a whisper. "Mommy, come with us." Her heart froze. She shook her head violently. "No, I cannot." The locket's glow intensified, almost blinding. Her surroundings blurred, colors melting together. The shadows of the restaurant stretched, elongating unnaturally. A whisper brushed against her ear. "You promised you would remember us." She stumbled backward. The locket lifted slightly from her hand, hovering as if pulled by unseen threads. The twins appeared before her. No longer children, yet not quite fully grown. Their eyes glowed faintly, the same blue as in the photograph. They smiled. An otherworldly calm emanated from them. "You must come," the older one said softly. Her knees buckled. "Why?" she asked, trembling. "Because it is your turn to understand," the younger one replied. The locket snapped open, shining a pure, white light. It filled the restaurant, washing over every surface, every patron, every flickering shadow. Time seemed to stop. Even the clinking of plates and murmur of conversations froze. The man's voice echoed faintly from somewhere, warm and familiar. "Do not fear." She reached out, trembling toward the twins. Their hands stretched toward hers. The glow enveloped her completely. It was warm, comforting, yet overwhelming. She felt her body lift slightly, weightless. Memories flooded her mind, fragments she had long buried. The cabin by the lake, the fire, the fear, the loss, and then the joy she had never realized she still carried. The twins' hands grasped hers firmly. Their eyes shone with certainty. "You always belong with us," they said together. A wave of emotion crashed over her. She understood now. All the years, the absence, the grief, it was never abandonment. It was waiting. It was preparation. The light from the locket expanded, filling her vision, and the last thing she saw was the man, smiling, fading into the brilliance. Then, the glow receded, leaving her standing alone. The restaurant looked ordinary again. No shadows, no flickering lights, no whispers. The locket was closed in her hand, warm and heavy. Her heart still raced, but a calm settled over her mind. Outside, the rain had stopped. The sun was beginning to rise, casting golden light through the windows. She glanced toward the door. A small envelope lay on the floor where no one had placed it. Inside was a simple note. "Remember always, we are never truly gone." She took a deep breath, clutching the locket to her chest. And for the first time in years, she felt complete. The twins' laughter echoed faintly in her memory, comforting, never-ending. She smiled softly. Her blind date had never been empty. It had been a bridge, a connection across time, across life, across loss. And now, she knew, some promises could never truly be broken. She stood slowly, tucking the locket into her pocket. The world outside beckoned, bright, alive, and full of possibilities. She stepped forward, heart steady, knowing some mysteries were meant to guide, not frighten. And the memory of their tiny hands, warm and insistent, stayed with her forever. The restaurant returned to normal. Yet she knew she would never forget the night it had become extraordinary. The twins had come, they had spoken, and they had left a piece of forever with her. And that piece would never fade. She walked out into the sunlight, the warmth on her skin a reminder. The blind date had not been empty. It had been waiting, waiting for her to finally see, to finally remember, to finally understand. And somewhere in the distance, she swore she heard the faintest echo of small, perfect laughter. She smiled and kept walking, because some meetings, she realized, were timeless, and some goodbyes were never truly final. Her hand brushed the locket, warm, certain, unending. The twins' voices whispered in her heart. Always. The street was quiet now, but she felt their presence in every shadow, every whisper of wind, every sunbeam. And she knew, no matter what, she would never be alone again. Her journey had changed forever, and it had just begun. She walked slowly down the quiet street, the early morning sun spilling golden light over wet pavement. The locket rested gently against her chest, a steady warmth reminding her of what had come and gone. Each step felt lighter than the last, as if the weight of years had finally lifted. The city around her buzzed softly with life, cars, distant laughter, the smell of fresh bread from a nearby bakery, but none of it felt intrusive. It all seemed to exist just for her in that moment, gentle and welcoming. She paused at a small park she had not noticed before, dew sparkling on the grass like tiny stars. For a long moment, she closed her eyes, letting the breeze brush her face, carrying with it a whisper of laughter she knew she would carry forever. The twins' voices echoed softly in her memory, always. A serene smile spread across her face, the kind that comes from understanding, from closure, from finally finding peace. She opened her eyes and saw a pair of children playing nearby, their energy innocent and bright. She realized that life still held surprises, still held new beginnings, and that love, mysterious, unexplainable, was always near if she kept her heart open. With a deep breath, she stepped forward, ready to embrace the day, carrying the memory of that extraordinary night and the extraordinary souls she would never forget. And as she walked, the world felt full of possibilities, gentle reminders that some connections, once made, never truly fade. The blind date had been more than a meeting. It had been a bridge, a revelation, and ultimately a gift. She smiled one last time at the memory, and then moved on, knowing that some stories, while they end, live within us forever. The city, the morning, and the light around her seemed to whisper in quiet affirmation. Life continues, love endures, and every ending is also a beginning. She held the locket tight, heart calm, spirit lifted, ready for whatever came next. The story of that night was now complete in her mind, and yet its magic remained, a gentle, eternal presence guiding her forward. She stepped into the world with quiet courage, the memory of tiny hands and heartfelt whispers carried safely in her soul, a reminder that she was never truly alone. The journey had closed, the chapter ended, and a new one awaited. But the warmth, the lessons, and the love of that unforgettable night would always remain, gently echoing in her heart. And with that, she smiled and continued walking, ready to live fully, carry love, and cherish the extraordinary moments hidden in ordinary life. The story ended gracefully, as all great stories do, leaving her at peace and the world wide open before her.